Hi everybody, BS Outdoors here. Today we're at Prados Trading Post. If many of you crappie fish or ice fish or anything like that, you go through a lot of minnows. Well, we're going to show you how to be able to keep minnows at home, if it's worth it or if it's just worth paying a bait guy to deal with all the problems. Anyway.
Yeah, so here we are, and some of you seen this tank in a previous video on the Hat Maker Extraordinaire. There was a quick little thing about it. So what we got here is we turned this IBC tank into a minnow holding tank. Cut this all out here. Took that lid, got rid of it. Cut two holes over here for some 5-gallon buckets. What these buckets are filtration. This tank right here stays right about 175 gallons in here. So inside these filter buckets here, there is a 300 micron bag that first goes through. This removes most of the particulate waste and everything, but it does not remove all the ammonia. So what we got for the ammonia is inside this bucket. There's a lot of cut up PVC tubing. There's also a mesh filter down at the bottom to be able to keep all those PVC pieces up high enough where they're not going to interfere with coming up into here and blocking our waterway when I show you the rest of this. So the pump down there, I believe it's an Orca brand. It's a 1,000 gallon an hour pump, which doesn't look like it's pumping quite all the way because it's elevating coming uphill, so it doesn't quite pump as much. But what we got is, so we're pumping up, we're coming through those, we're coming through here. So all this extra stuff, these valves, I can control a little bit if I'm cleaning stuff out. If I want to drain one of these, not the other. If one of them is a little airlocked, I can cock this a little bit. It'll push more water through, get rid of that airlock, because it'll actually make a chugging noise, and it's just really annoying. Down here with this valve system, there's a lady we work with, her husband is a maintenance guy. So he gave me the idea here, we got a back flushing system. So I can turn these two off, I can turn these two here on, and it'll back flush up through the filter system, pushing all of those extra solids back into the main tank, which will then be picked back up again and put back through the micron bags. I said all the good bacteria is sitting in there. It's eating our ammonias out. You can buy the good bacteria at the pet store. It comes in a bottle. So at the end of all these tubes here are air stones. You've got plenty of airflow. That's very, very important. I did not have enough airflow when I first started. Lost a lot of fish. Found out how important that is later. The airflow we have is actually for hydroponics. It's this little pump down here. You can see, and it's actually produces I believe it's 1,000 CFCs or something like that. I can't exactly remember what the air volume is, but it just moves it right along through this 6 outlets. And I have these on here, so these are one-way valves in case the pump would quit and the water would siphon back down through here. It won't go up into the pump and seize it up. But that's how this minnow tank works. As far as when I go to drain it, a lot of people may be thinking, how do you get rid of all that water you're sitting inside? So you come down here, and almost all these tanks, they have some kind of valve. And they have a cap on there, so I took this cap off of here, I drilled a hole through it, and you go to your garden center and they sell these little threaded things here for your hose to go on to, for rain barrels, different things like that. So I just drilled a hole through there, put it on there, put a little bit of caulking sealer around it. I can screw my water hose on here, stick it right out the door, and I can drain that out into the yard. And also, to prepare my water before I put it in the tank, I got a 30-gallon barrel here. I will fill that barrel up. My choice is Better Bait. So Better Bait is just a granular blue granular stuff. If you ever see the bait shop where they got the blue water in there, that's what this is. I'll put a little bit in there. I don't know if you can see the difference, but you can see that blue kind of swirling around in there. That's what this is. It removes it removes chlorine, it conditions water, lowers bait losses. So it does all those things. These right here, probably about $25 or so for a 3-pound container of it. Another thing, if you're planning on taking your minnows out in a cooler somewhere or in a holy thing, this is a Sure Life fish calmer. So this right here will actually calm down your minnows. You just follow the directions on here. Tells you how much to mix. It has a little bit of odor to it. Kind of smells like chew actually. But you put this in the water and it calms your minnows down and it keeps them alive during transportation. So those are my 2 main products that I had to take besides the good bacteria once a month or so. And that pretty much wraps it up, I believe.
So how often do you have to drain the water? How much of it do you drain out? You know, you said you have 175 gallons. Do you have to drain all that out? Do you only have to drain a little bit?
So right now I actually have an honor system outside. People are able to come up and they're able to take bait out of the cooler, put the money through the mail slot in the door, and I've had really good luck with it. So I fill up that cooler and empty it every day. So we're running through probably about 30 gallons. We're running through about 1 barrel of this every week. So this 175, I change out 30 gallons a week. It keeps the water fairly clear. The last time you seen it, it was doing a cycle. So, and you'll run into that where you'll have a dirty water cycle. So then when you have that, you want to drain, you might have to do 60 gallons in a week as opposed to just your regular 30. The other thing, keep these little guys fed. You can get these, they're about $25 again for a 2-pound tub of goldfish flakes. Just keep it cheap, you know, you're feeding bait. It's not no prize fish or anything like that. And I'm not going to throw a whole lot in because they were fed this morning, but let's see if they can smell this stuff usually pretty quick, and they'll come up and they'll start feeding on it. So there we got a couple customers there. But they love this goldfish food. Like I said, I fed them this morning. They might not be totally hungry, but if your water is going through that dirty water cycle, it could also be an overfeeding issue where there's just too much food in the water. It gets it cloudy, it gets it slimy. You need to get in there, you need to do a little bit of scrubbing. If you do need to do a little bit of scrubbing, you can just get yourself a nice big scrub brush. And a lot of times you can just go right around the edge like that and you can get her all cleaned up pretty quickly.
Now you said you had an honor system. Can we check that out? That way, if anyone anyone around watching these videos, they know you got minnows out all the time.
So what we got here is because of the pump being able to produce so much air per hour, I ran a extra line out here, and we keep bait. So there's an air stone down in here, and I put the water out here in the morning, fill the cooler up, put about 8-10 dozen minnows in there. I got a bucket and net, so it's all, like I said, it's all self-serve, and people are able to come in here and get their bait even during closed hours, and it's been really well. I mean, everyone's been treating this system very well.
And if you want to know what his hours are, these right there.
Yep. And tomorrow hours will be a little bit different because we're going to be doing a stand at the Van Buren Scenic Drive. So we'll be over there tomorrow in the park, and the hours are going to vary a little bit, and with events like that they will tend to vary slightly here and there, being able to get out there.
And you post all that on your Facebook page, correct?
Yeah, I will let everybody know at least at the beginning of the week. If it's going to happen during the weekend or during the week, I will post it up. So if you go on the Prados Trading Post Facebook, you'll be able to see if there's any changes in hours, any changes, maybe a closed day, something like that, and you can just follow right along.
All right, sounds good. One other question: is it worth making your own minnow tank, or is it worth paying a guy like you to take care of it?
Yeah, so unless you're retired and you are using hundreds of minnows every week, it's almost really not worth it to go through the problem of buying the chemicals, changing 30 gallons of water every week. You got expense there. Finding a wholesaler for your bait, and a lot of times maybe these wholesalers won't even sell to the general public. You may have to have a tax identification number to even get a hold of something like that. But yeah, the setup itself is actually fairly cheap. It's probably maybe $300 worth of stuff there to do your setup. But once you get it going, and you got to get this, you got to run this air pump continuously, this other pump, your water pump continuously, the chemicals, the water, like I said, the water changes. It just turns into a big headache. So unless you are retired and you have a lot of time and you use a lot of bait, it's just, you can probably just go pick up 4 dozen here or there from your local bait shop throughout the summer for as much as you're probably going to be going fishing.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. If you want to keep your own bait, he showed you kind of the process to do it. It's up to you to decide. I know when I go crappie fishing, I will just always stop at Prados Trading Post.